Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Tuesday, October 5th, 2021, and we're here for a town board meeting. As always, we're going to begin with the pledge, and Ken, can you please take the lead? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken. And Frank, do we have someone from our faith community?
We certainly do. Our
Great.
favorite Kathy Berezny, from the chaplain from the Riverhead Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yep.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Please help us engage in meaningful discussions and allow us to grow closer as a group so we can nurture the bonds of our whole community. We ask your blessings on the upcoming elections, that the voters will select the best candidates to help keep Riverhead moving forward. We give you thanks for the beauty of our fall and that we are able to gather together in this time of COVID to continue the work, keeping our community safe, healthy, and looking to the future. All of this we ask, O Lord, as your servants here on Eastern Long Island. Amen.
Amen. Very
Thank you,
nice.
Kathy.
Thank you,
Very
Kathy.
nice, Kathy. Thank you. Moving forward, before I get started with today's agenda, I have two announcements. First, I want to remind everyone, the 45th Annual Riverhead Country Fair is this coming Saturday, October 10th, 2021. The Country Fair is a tradition in downtown Riverhead with carnival rides and great food, lots of exhibits and competitions, and there'll be live entertainment, and I hope to see you all there. Next, I would like to take a moment to remember another pillar of our community who passed away this past weekend at the age of 90. Tony Murris was the heart and soul behind Star Confectionery, better known as Papa Nick's, an iconic part of the town of Riverhead's history. I was glad to have honored Tony and the entire Murris family a few months ago at the 100th celebration anniversary. Today's Tony's legacy, like his father before him, was of the last generations to come. Each time a child would step into Papa Nick's for their first time to eat an ice cream sundae, Tony will from now on be looking down and happy to see that his tradition will continue. My sincerest condolences go out to the entire Maris family, and I am sure that the board would like to make a comment on that also. Tim?
The Maris family, an icon of Riverhead. Every main street, and I've said this before, every main street in America would love to have a Papa Nick's. Thank God Riverhead has it, and God bless the Maris family and all that they've done for this town.
So sorry for his family. I always loved on Easter getting all the chocolates and the baskets all made out in the store. And it's truly a hometown place.
And I'm going to join in with everybody else. Certainly the Maris family are such an important part of our community. I certainly remember the grandpa and Kitty and Tony. I remember sitting at the counter with my dad when I was a kid, and it's such an important part of our community, and my prayers and condolences go out to the Maris family.
Yes, I say the same. What a great family, what an institution in our town. A lot of people don't know, but Doug Geed from News 12 was very, very close and always took an opportunity to make sure he came out and visit the place, whether it was for filming or not for a filming. And so when they had their 100th anniversary, he couldn't help himself. He had to come out, and of course, the rest of you were part of it. But that's what an institution their family is, and may he rest in peace, and God bless the rest of the Maris family.
Yes, thank you. Devin, did you want to bring something forward?
I think we just have to take a moment to formally recognize the councilman's birthday today. And I think it would only be right to sing him happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy Happy birthday, dear Councilman Bayrod.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not worthy of such praise, but thank you anyway.
He's not double nickel yet.
And he blushes again.
Okay, moving forward, can I have a first and a second to approve the minutes for the town board meeting on September 8th, 2021, and also for the special town board meeting on September 16th, 2021?
Make that motion?
Second?
Rockwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. And I also wanted to, in my official capacity as town clerk, I wanted to deliver to the town board the 2022 tentative town budget.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move on to correspondence.
Yeah, move on, and then we'll do the public hearing.
Sure. Okay, under correspondence, I had quite a few. Wilma Conklin sent comments on the proposed apartment projects on Main Street. Ms. Conklin also sent comments on the noise levels from the drag racing at EPCAL. And I had 3 other comments, letters of comment, one from Reverend L. and E. Klein, another from Mike Scano, and another one that came in late that didn't make it onto the agenda, but that was, I'll get the name, my name. Oh, yeah, I said George Gunderson. And then I'll move on to, there were 5 letters altogether regarding, with comments on the proposed legislation amending Chapter 207 Animals. That was Rhonda Greenstein, or Steen, Susan Striga, Kerry Michelle, Joanne Cade, another one here that didn't make it onto the agenda. And let's see if I can find that one. Bear with me. And that was from Bob Yarnell. There was also 3 letters requesting management of noise levels during outdoor events at Jamesport venues. Kenny Lucano, Larry DeVito, Jesse Bonfield, and Margaret Lavelle. There were 4 letters of comment over the...
Diane, I just want to correct you. It's not Jamesport Vineyards, it's venues. I don't
Did I
think it-
say vineyards?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't believe it's
apologize.
it's
It is
not directed
venues.
at the vineyards.
Yes, no, you're right. It is venues.
Okay.
Then there were 4 letters with comments over the fire at the car storage on the FCal property, and that was Tony Pawson, Robert Bohm, Mark Massey, Tamara Stoddard. And I also had a letter from Felicia Scacosa, and she's with Riverhead CAP, and those were concerns over possible changes to requirements of the town alcohol policy. Another letter from George Gundvinson, and his concerns over the abandoned gas station in Calverton. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but, and then on to reports. Town clerk's September monthly report, $14,564.24. Building department submitted their September monthly report also, and that was $420,978. I also had from our fire districts, they all submitted, the Riverhead budget was not listed on the agenda, that came in a little late. But they all four, Wading River, Manaville, Jamesport, and Riverhead, all submitted their 2022 proposed budgets. That's all I have.
I actually thought the letter from Wilma Conklin was over the 205 Osborne.
She had, was it?
I think she had 2 letters.
She had.
She had 2 letters.
She
One
did.
was
Yeah,
about
she
the
did.
racing, and I thought the other one was about the apartments.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Was
what it
that
says.
205?
205 Osborne.
It wasn't on Main Street, it was 205
Yeah, it says Main
Osborne.
Street, but
Okay,
it was
I'll make
205
that-
Osborne.
I'll make that correction.
Thank you, Diane. We have one public hearing scheduled for today, which was scheduled for 2:05, and now it is 2:12. We are going to open up a public hearing for the consideration of increase and improvement of the Riverhead Water District Plant Number 5. And we're going to ask our Frank Mancini, our Water District Superintendent, can you please come forward and brief us on this public hearing? Good afternoon, Frank.
Good afternoon, Supervisor. I'm Frank Mancini, the Water District Superintendent. So this project is the PFAS removal filters for Plant 5. This starts the bond approval process. I transferred money a couple weeks ago to set the contract up and put that out to bid, so we can award that when this is complete. Any questions?
Plant 5's on Middle Road, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to try and recoup this money through the lawsuit with Sheeran Edeling. And again, I just checked the latest data. We still have not violated the drinking water standard, but we're close enough that we need to put the treatment in.
Thank you,
Okay.
Frank. I knew that was an area of concern. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have any members of the public that would like to be heard on this matter?
Before we jump into comments, Supervisor, I have to just read this statement, and then I know Bob Cos, Town Attorney, is going to have a follow-up statement. So before the public hearing comments, just a brief announcement regarding public hearing comments today. It's the overarching goal of this administration to foster an environment that allows for public participation. However, at all times, there must be order and decorum, and speakers must be respectful of the town board and the comment policy. Anyone choosing to speak should direct their comments to the entire town board and is reminded that the town board is here to listen, not necessarily to respond or express views or opinions. While the Riverhead Town Code does not indicate a time limit on public hearing comments, the line of comment must remain on topic of the subject public hearing. In addition, speakers are asked to please be concise and courteous to the town board and to other speakers in the room. And we'll just remind folks that we just asked them to state their name and their hamlet for the record. And Bob, did you have any further comments?
Just to remind folks that if they have any question on the rules and procedures that have been adopted by the town board, they can go to our website. It's on the town board's website for the rules. I know Marty's ready to chomp the bit, so I'm not going to keep him too much longer, but we asked everybody, speak to the entire board, address the entire board, maintain decorum, respect everybody else, and that's the main gist of what we're looking to do here. We're looking to hear your comments, obviously, and hear whether we've got the issues correct or not. So thank you very much for your courtesies and respect to one another.
Okay, so, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Martin Sinlewski, architect, Riverhead. With regard to the public hearing, I see that the cost is $5,976,000. I just heard the superintendent say I think you're going to do a bond for that improvement, if I'm not mistaken. I think he said to start the bond process. So I assume that'll be paid for with bond money? It's going to be bonded, in other words, the improvement. I know that also the Water District, effective 10/1/20, instituted a Water District capital improvement plan that included surcharges to water users in the town of Riverhead, which is a good idea, put money away for improvements. And that the 2021 budget has a fund balance. Total budget was $9,185,300. They had an unaudited balance of $30,322,942. They applied $1,565,000 of that, leaving an estimated fund balance of $28,757,942. I assume that the fund balance comes from key money as well as water usage fees. Would that be correct? That's
Bill?
where the balances come from?
Marty, hold on one second, I'm going to bring up Bill. Good afternoon, Bill.
Good afternoon. So the Water District is an enterprise fund, and those are net assets. It's not cash or modified cash fund balance. So it's not like we tell you in the general fund or the highway fund that their fund balance is money that we can apply or a rainy day fund, so to speak. So that's your net assets. The fund balance is actually much less than that. They do have a healthy fund balance. It's not 32 million. Those are your assets, including all infrastructure, less the depreciation on those assets.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. That explains it very clearly. I do have some comments with regard to key monies as well as improvements in the district, but it's not germane to this particular hearing, so should I wait till the end of the meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're just specifically addressing this issue. Anyone else want to come forward? Any comments? Does the board have any comments?
Chip, do we have anybody on Zoom for the public? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna close this public hearing now, and we're gonna leave it open for comments for 10 days until 4:30 PM on October 15, 2021, at the clerk's office. The time now is 2:13 PM. All right, we're gonna move forward on to resolutions today. Diane, can you please call the resolutions?
I think we just have to offer it up for comments first, Supervisor, and I'll just make the statement so that folks that are here to comment on the resolutions before the board are, again, reminded of the
Sure.
procedure.
Okay, we're gonna move on to comments on the resolutions. Anybody here?
So just a note, speakers will have 5 minutes.
There's no one here right now, I think, so I don't know if we have to go.
Anybody for comments on resolutions?
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Can you come forward, please, ma'am?
Okay, so just a reminder that folks are going to have 5 minutes to make their comments on resolutions, because comments per the town code are limited to 5 minutes. And if they ask any questions, or if we ask any comment from the board, that does not stop the clock. So folks are suggested that they make all their comments first, and then the town board may or may not respond. And again, just a reminder, we need your name and your hamlet, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Rhonda Greenstein. I'm a resident of this town. I submitted a letter for your consideration. I'm also an attorney who retired from the New York State Attorney General's office after nearly 40 years, and as part of my tenure, I was the Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Animal Rights Initiative. So from my perspective, the law pending before you is a long time coming. I trust that everybody had the opportunity to review my letter as well as the addendum. Now, the addendum is extremely important. That was a report, and I incorporate that by way of reference, but I incorporate those arguments as my argument as well. That report was prepared by the New York City Bar Association Animal Law Committee on pending legislation, which is similar to the legislation currently before you. And as you know, the New York State Senate passed the law last year, and that was a bipartisan bill, I must add. But it didn't get to the floor of the Assembly yet. And despite protestations to the contrary by counsel for Puppy, it's beyond dispute that this board has the authority to enact the law. Now, since my time is limited, I can answer any questions about cases that I handled where a member of the public purchased a puppy mill concentration camp animal from a pet store that turned out to have a disease or defect, and the emotional, psychological, and financial burden that imposed on the owner. Does anybody have if anybody has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. But since I would like to move on and address the letter submitted by Puppy's Counsel, which is dated September 15th of this year. Quite honestly, I could not believe what I was reading. I was shocked by the tone of the letter, which I found to be disingenuous and quite honestly disrespectful. Their arguments are threefold. First, that the town has no authority to enact the law. Secondly, that pet stores will go out of business if the law is enacted. And thirdly, and this is really the crux of the letter, if you pass this, we will sue you, and you should be very afraid of the endless litigation that we're going to bring on. Now, as to the first two claims, counsel knows full well that it's well within your authority to pass the law. Not only is it your right, but it's your obligation to protect not only the residents of the town, but to protect the non-human species in your care. As to going out of business, counsel knows this is also a bogus argument. The New York City Bar Association report points out that pet stores across the country are updating their business models by showcasing homeless pets for adoption and focusing on a range of pet-related products and services. As the report says, the pet store market is continuing to thrive based on the alternative business model, which is viable because of increased market demand for high-quality pet food, grooming, training, boarding services, and even veterinary services. In fact, as it says, live animal sales comprise only a fraction of money spent in the pet industry.
That they do not want to pivot is another issue altogether. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that businesses can survive and thrive once they pivot to meet the world as it exists today. If they go out of business, it's going to be their own fault because they did not want to pivot or adopt an alternate business plan. Now, these two arguments, that the board has no authority to pass a law like that, or that pet stores will go out of business, has been consistently rejected by courts throughout the state. There are currently over 350 jurisdictions that have laws similar to this. This includes 5 states, the newest one being last month, Illinois enacted legislation statewide that would ban the sale of pet store puppy mill animals.
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds left.
Oh, no. So knowing that the only thing they have is threats of litigation, they say we won't rest until we get justice for our pet stores, be guided accordingly. Well, neither will we stop. The first thing they tell you in law school is if the facts are against you, argue the law. If the law is against you, argue the facts. And if they're both against you, argue loudly. And this is exactly what they are attempting to do. They're attempting to bully you into not adopting this very needed regulation.
Ma'am, that's 5 minutes. We have to move on to the next speaker.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyone else want to come forward? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Zach Rothblum. I just moved to Patchogue, I guess. Zach Rothblum, Zachary Rothblum. I just moved to I guess that's Hamlet, Brookhaven. I'm responding to that, what was mentioned. One of the arguments that was failed to be brought up was that it directly conflicts with New York State AML 407, which prohibits banning the selling of commercially bred cats and dogs. New York State AML 400A applies this ban to all New York State municipalities, including Riverhead. By signing this legislation, the Riverhead government would be usurping the New York State government by attempting to override one of the state laws. It's one thing to make more stringent regulations to protect the commercially bred cats and dogs, as provided for in New York State AML 407, but it's a completely different thing to pass legislation that violates the law of the state.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone else want to come forward? Sure. You can speak after her. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Katie Sweeney. I'm from Sayville. I just wanted to speak because I was the victim of purchasing a sick puppy. When I unknowingly purchased a sick Bichon Frise, who actually turned out not to be a Bichon Frise. I did a genetic test on her, and I was lied to. She's Bichon and Poodle. Not that it matters to me, because I love her with all my heart. But when I purchased her, she had a severe case of kennel cough. She was purchased at a pet store in Suffolk County at the Yuppie Puppy in Port Jefferson. She was sourced from a puppy mill in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. She spent the first several weeks of her life with me fighting for her life. Thankfully, with unwavering, dedicated care on my part, she was eventually able to recover and survive, but many others tragically do not survive. And she has been plagued with a lifetime of health issues, including a collapsing trachea, cancer, severe anxiety, allergies, bladder stones, tumors, vision loss, dental issues, dementia, etc., which are all the result of being poorly bred in the puppy mill. Conditions in puppy mills are absolutely beyond horrifically cruel, unsanitary, deplorable, and inhumane. The majority of people who learn about the horrors of puppy mills are against them. No one wants innocent animals to needlessly suffer like this. Their fate is in your hands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to come forward? Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Diane Madden, and I just drove all the way here from Hempstead. I started an organization called Hope for Hempstead Shelter because we need organizations that come to boards such as yours and encourage you to find the courage and compassion to do something for these animals in puppy mills, these commercially bred animals. You have to wonder how some of these small businesses have done so well. They've done so well on the backs of suffering animals. And if I could do one thing right now, it would be to pipe into all of the air filtration, the smells and the stenches of blood, death, suffering, feces, urine that these animals live with, that people profit from, which is why they're here. See, we don't come here to profit. We come here to speak for the animals. All of Long Island is watching this board, hopeful that they're going to ban. And by the way, as far as that previous speaker, I believe Governor Cuomo at the time signed legislation that gives towns and municipalities, because he didn't have the guts to do it, but it gives you the ability to ban these organizations. Thank you, Councilman Rothwell, for nodding. So you do have that power. Don't let anyone take it away from you. I urge you to make a decision in the best interest of the animals and the consumers. We've heard story after story after story, right up to moments ago, of this woman that, by the way, lays out tens of thousands of dollars because they were fooled into believing they're adopting or buying a healthy animal. As far as grandfathering in, which is really what motivated me to come out here, is that some kind of joke? I would never grandfather this kind of abuse, this kind of fraudulence to consumers. If I were making the decision in this matter, I would make it. I would give them 6 months to either start selling leashes and collars and kitty litter and the things that all of the other good businesses and good business models have shown us that they succeed. They don't need to do it on the backs of suffering animals. Again, I am so serious when I tell you, everybody, even people that cannot make these meetings, I've tried to make them before, there are so many people watching this board, because if you do this, first of all, you'll be a group of heroes in the animal welfare community, but also we are going to take what you do and wave it high and set you as an example of what can be done for taxpayers, because guess what? When these animals end up at shelters, they pay for those taxes, and they pay for those animals to get medical care and to be housed at these shelters. But we're going to take this legislation and wave it high and make sure that every municipality has the same standards and expectations for animals, as hopefully you'll show us too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi,
Good afternoon.
James Wooten, Riverhead Town. Thank you all the surrounding towns that came out also to speak in favor of this adoption of this legislation. This, to me, is no-nonsense legislation. It's absolutely the right thing to do. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. The town's going to face a lot of controversial things in the future. This is not one of them. This should not be one of them. This is the right thing to do to help out the animals that can't speak for themselves. The business model can be changed. As far as whether you can usurp state law, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but maybe this is the time for the tail to wag the dog. It's the right thing to do. So that's all I can say.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I know, Carol, you wanted to go last? Carol Scafani? Okay, you want to go last? How you doing?
Hey,
Good afternoon.
John McAuliffe from Rolling Woods in Riverhead. I have a question, actually, that my wife brought up when we were talking about this. As I recall in reading something, it refers to that buying dogs from breeders, from AKC registered breeders, is seen as a proper thing to do on an individual basis. So my question is whether it's possible to have this language written in a way that would allow stores to also purchase specifically from AKC registered breeders that would meet the needs of consumers who want to find a particular breed of dogs that would sustain the business model in a reasonable way and would also eliminate the puppy mills. I'm making an assumption that puppy mills are by definition not AKC registered breeders. Now, maybe some of them have managed to get that, and there may be another tweaking that would have to be done, but I'm just wondering whether there is a way. I think the motives of this legislation are excellent, the goals are excellent, but I'm also wondering whether there's a way to solve two problems or solve three problems and allow for registered breeders to be a source through commercial shops. So it's a question.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Right.
While Carol's coming up, Mr. McCall, any change like that, in my opinion, would be a substantial change and would require the board to renotice and rehear the matter. So I believe that's, where it would be, and it can't be done at this time.
Hello, Carol Sclafani from Wading River. May I answer his question? The part of the AKC registration means nothing, absolutely nothing. The AKC registration means nothing. The AKC registers mixed breed dogs. They don't look at the dogs. They don't check out anything about the dog at all. They'll just do it for the money. So that means nothing. Okay, AKC really means nothing. And these puppy mill dogs are AKC registered. Okay, and they're puppy mill dogs. So that's the answer to that. All right, so good afternoon, everybody, and thank you also for everybody else who came out here to speak on this. As a licensed veterinary technician and teacher of veterinary science, as most of you know, Resolution 632 hits home because this is about animal welfare. It's about the puppy mill pipeline. As I said before, the puppy mill puppies go to the broker, go to the pet store, and go to the unsuspecting consumer. Although people can relate to puppies more so, make no mistake, this includes kittens and rabbits as well. They're all milled, they're all from breeding facilities. This legislation is not mandating the pet store to sell rescue dogs or mandating the public to purchase a rescue dog. It does encourage the pet store to partner with local animal shelters, our own municipal shelter, and legitimate local rescue organizations to join in finding homes for the homeless animals. While pet stores around the nation, including PetSmart, Petco, and Hometown Pets in Wading River, all in the town of Riverhead, have transitioned to a more humane business model by no longer selling puppies from puppy mills, other pet stores double down on its outdated model by lobbying against laws that would stop the sale of puppy mill puppies. There are organizations that have lobbyists working tirelessly to ensure puppy mills stay in business so they can make a profit. They threaten municipalities with lawsuits based on arguments without merit. And just so you know, two of the most successful pet stores in the U.S., and I believe Rhonda had touched on this, is Petco and PetSmart, because they no longer sell dogs, cats, or rabbits, all right? They focus on pet products and services, and they partner with rescue organizations and shelters to show select adoptable animals. And go figure, they've maintained successful financial models while doing so. We've all had weeks to educate ourselves on puppy mills, so I'm not going to belabor the fact that it's animal cruelty and that pet store puppies are sourced from puppy mills, where making a profit takes precedence over the animal's welfare. We do have a pet store in town that does source their animals from puppy mills, and there's a plethora of documentation, okay? They can lie all they want. They do get these animals from puppy mills. They call them reputable breeders, but they're puppy mills, and I could show you pictures of them, all right? The bottom line is the pet stores are not the victims, the animals are. Puppy mills exist because the public is funding them by purchasing puppies in pet stores. How to stop the cruel cycle? Ban the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits, period. As of February 2021, more than 350 cities, local governments, and states across the country have enacted pet store animal sales bans. Don't be intimidated by the lobbyists, okay? Let the town of Riverhead set precedents and be a leader. Thank you to all the animal advocates and organizations such as Harley Stream, CAPS, and the Humane Society of the United States for being the animal's voice, and the newly formed organizations as well. And thank you, Town Board, for considering this ban. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come forward? Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Town Councilor. I have a question.
You need to state your name and your
My name
address.
is Helen Kalmakitis. I'm the owner of Sportsman's Kennels in Manorville,
Okay.
which my brother and I partnered, exactly 53 years ago. Unfortunately, my brother died 2 years ago, so there's just myself. And I brought some members of my staff with me. Renee was with me 25 years. And after having 4 bad back operations, it's been working a couple of days a week, just doing paperwork. And we have Chelsea, our newest member, who's with us 3 years, and our bookkeeper, Renee. My question basically is, I've heard everything about dogs that come from puppy mills. But what about if you breed your own? There's so many breeders on Long Island. And it does say anybody commercially, which doesn't make a difference between someone who breeds them, puppies that are available with the parents on the premises, and a puppy mill. Nobody wants to get a dog from a puppy mill, and certainly, since I spent 59 years of my life raising them, since the time we went to Hofstra, and all my friends and I used to go to dog shows on the weekend. Well, we're a little too old for that at 85. However, we love dogs. So we do have some pictures to show you the type of facility I have, which is located on over 6 acres. And I would like to leave them with the group to look at, to get an idea of the facility. And of course, at any time, you're all welcome to stop in and take a look. We have Dr. Tepper, who's been with us over 30 years, who's on a weekly basis, health certificates, rabies certificates, all the examinations required, and the licenses that we get from the town clerk all the time. We don't sell puppies at 8 weeks. We sell puppies 3 months at the earliest. Most of them are much older. Diane would be able to tell you that by the receipts of all our licenses. Sorry, a little bit of a cold. The problem is, being there 50-plus years, at 85, with employees that are with us over 25 years, we thought we'd kind of retire there. Taxes are high. So, again, you could limit. I think it's a wonderful thing not to have dogs come from another state. That law failed, but I think that was the right move. Some of those places are horrible, and a lot of the places today are good, but you have no way of checking on them, as I said at the earlier meeting, because you only have an inspection from the USDA once a year. However, in Riverhead, with a small area, I'm sure you could manage to have as many inspections as you would like to make sure that the dogs have everything and live happy lives and have the food, the health, the work, everything that you want them to have. And they're bred from parents who have had OFA certification, hard checks, Lake Percy's checks, eye check, dogs that we know to begin with are bred. Besides, we do have a fabulous guarantee. Our guarantee is better than the state. The state gives you 2 weeks on anything contagious, because anything contagious will show up in 2 weeks. We don't sell an 8-week-old puppy. Do you remember when you tried to pass the law for 3.5 months? I was the only hand that went up, and I nearly got my hand broken down by everybody else. We never let them go before 3 months, and now 4 months because of the inoculations that are required, the Lepto-4, before they could go outside. So now we have 4 months, and here came COVID. They don't want to be home at all. So the puppies have to be over 4 months old to be able to be housebroken. And yes, we will accommodate them. Now, the law is there to protect the consumer. But if you don't have the consumer buying dogs bred in Riverhead, which you can all check on, which have all the certification, have all the health records that you want, and you can make as many laws as you want. But if you force them to go out of the state, one, they could go to the television, two, they could go to the computers, in which, of course, at 85, that's not my thing. But how many people have been scammed? It was on Channel 12. Many, many people lost thousands of dollars because they were scammed. They call back, they get a string of numbers, they're not there. Now, if I say we're here over 50 years, our clients are very old. Their families have all bought dogs. So do you think these people want to go to Pennsylvania to drive there and then they get a dog without a guarantee? Thank you so much for your attention. I certainly don't want to go over time, but may I please leave with you pictures of our outside facilities, 7 acres, and I'd be happy to have any of you come and visit. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome.
All right, anyone else? Okay, Charlie? Good afternoon.
Hello, my name's Charles Sclafani, Wading River resident. What I've got before me is a New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, Division of Animal Industry inspection report dated November 5th, 2020. Non-compliance critical, 7 items. This is for Sportsman Kennels, 75 Schultz Road, Manorville, New York. Primary enclosure, critical. Rusty cages, cages needing major repairs. Runs do not protect dogs being housed from injury or exposed to hazards. Does not keep animal safety contained. Holes chewed through walls. Splintering wood, sharp edges. That's one. Feeding and watering. Receptacles. Damaged water buckets can cause injury, punctures. Pointed edges rusted. Damaged water buckets required replacements. Veterinary care, critical. Written plan not available. Skin injured care, critical. Sick or injured animals not provided with proper veterinary care, and they've got a bunch listed. Prominent facial hair loss on body and limbs. Exercise plan, critical. Written exercise plan not available, plan not approved by veterinarian. Dog licenses. Harboring unlicensed dogs, all dogs must be licensed at 4 months. Number of dogs and cats at premises, 134 adult dogs, 114 puppies on selling floors. 15 puppies in isolation, 81 neonate puppies. This was signed by Miss Helen Camalant, okay, C-A-M-L-A-K-I-D-E-S. That was on November 5th. A month before that, or actually a week before that, October 29th. Same exact stuff, except they had a few more animals that were in critical condition that were not vaccinated for rabies at 4 months old, 3 months old, not receiving veterinary treatment for skin issues, prominent facial hair loss, blah, 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 blah. I just read it. I hate to say it, but this is one of the wonderful dated reports and inspections by the inspectors. Can I give it to them?
Carol, did you want to add to that statement? Oh. Oh, no, I thought it was Carol Scafani that was, okay.
Yeah, my wife.
No, Carol?
Okay. I mean, this is, if I can bring this up there, give it to him.
You can come up, ma'am, if you want to.
I'll give it to you later.
He's got to finish first.
Okay? And, listen, if you've been to any of these places, if you've gone to Pennsylvania, you've gone to Idaho, you've seen some of these concentration camps for animals, this is a no-brainer. Like I said last time, this town's been known to have great ideas die in it. How about we have a great idea and we make it live for a change? Vote this thing in, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to add? Devin, anyone else want to speak? Yes, you can.
As I said earlier, after the 50 years, this was the day of the COVID, the days that we had less health. The reason I brought them is because I wanted to show you the first and easiest thing is all the licenses have a date on them. And when the inspectors were there, we were short help from COVID. Very, very skeleton crew. But on the paperwork, when Mrs. Wilhelm checks it, there is a date. And when they left and we would calm down, there's a whole manila envelope with a date on it of everything that he said, did not have license, had it, but we had no staff, that we put it attached to each contract, which of course we do now. On the inspections that they said, all the dogs were seen, and I have all the veterinarian notes. Immediately after the visits, I called Dr. Tepper, who's here weekly, Good Ground Animal Hospital, who we bring the dogs to. And I said to them, as my inspector said, who was a new inspector, second time there, she said all the information had to be on the contracts, which it wasn't. We had no staff, that's why she's new. Now, I called the veterinarians, they have it in their computer, and I asked Dr. Spanbach and the doctor to please send me reports of what you see. The dog with no hair was a black Labrador, which had puppies. And if you check with any breeders, call anyone, many dogs after puppies lose hair, which comes back. The Wheaton had a cancerous growth that Dr. Tepper had seen a number of times. Jimmy always brings him up. He said, let's observe it, see which way it goes. It's got to a certain point where he said, let's accept, they cut it off. And I have all the paperwork for that. The third one was a yellow Labrador that had a little growth on the toe. He said, leave it alone, there's nothing wrong with it. Lab is still available. Now, which other ones? Everything that he said, the problem that the inspector said is, I should have not made it necessary to look for this and to say the vet check it, but each time I should have had it attached to a contract. That is where we were failing. We didn't have it easy. She doesn't want the time. She said, put it all together, and when I come, I have to see any dog with a problem with the note from the vet attached, which of course we do now. And these are going back to 19. We have it all. I also can get, and did get, anything you want. Don't think a veterinarian is going to risk his business not to tell the truth. It's all in the computer. I said, please print it out because I will need it. And I have it all printed out because we take wonderful care of our puppies. We take wonderful care of our mothers. And we would love to work with you because the biggest problem is I don't breed dogs when they're very old. I have them spayed. And then I keep them until they pass on to doggy heaven. I would love to find homes for these, for their forever homes. Every now and then, some of the older couples want year-old dogs or 5-year-old dogs because they're afraid that the dog will outlive them. But that's a very slow process. But you have to see and you have to read, and I'll be happy to give it, staple it, send it to the office, whatever you want. But what I tell you is what it is. I'm not a liar, never was. Love my dogs, take good care of them. The vet's been there for over 30 years. You can read all the bills for everything he said that comes from, and I have the whole list of both.
Okay.
I don't know if you want it, I have everything.
All right,
That's
right.
all I have to say.
Okay, this is not a public hearing that we just go back and
I don't
forth.
know, I just want,
Yeah,
I knew
it's
that would
okay.
come
It's
up, is why I
comments.
brought it, to
Okay.
show you whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I thought it was a simple response. It's not going back and forth. This is just comments before the resolution.
Okay, so I
And
just
you had
wanted to
your
tell you.
You had your 5 minutes to speak before that.
Okay,
Okay, great.
I appreciate it, I just
Okay.
want to clear the record, because I can prove what I say.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're done with comments on the resolutions. All right, so we're going to go on and we're going to move. No, this is not Zoom.
Yep, sorry,
Yep.
apologize.
Okay, so we're done. Moving forward to resolutions. Diane, can you please call the resolutions?
Resolution 625.
Appoints, excuse me, appoints a justice court clerk, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
If I could just interrupt, I think we just need to change the name, right? Councilwoman?
Yes. The name is incorrect in the resolution. I believe.
It's
is it-
Kristen?
It's Kristen in the it's supposed to be Kristen.
It says Karen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's changed to Kristen.
K-R-I-S-T-E-N.
Personnel
we're gonna-
called over before, we were not able to make the change in time, but
Right.
they asked that we just change it from the floor.
So we're gonna, if you're gonna take a vote, we're gonna vote as amended.
Okay.
I don't know.
So Rothwell,
As amended, yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
So I think it's important that we give Justice Court all the tools that we need over there. Certainly looking to add to their staff. At some point, I certainly feel that we need a Spanish-speaking clerk there as well. And of course, they need more space, and I vote yes as amended.
Hubbard,
Yes, as amended.
Aguirre,
Yes, as amended.
resolution adopted. Resolution 626.
I'd like to make a motion to table resolution number 626. There was a procedural problem with this, and I would like to straighten that out before we offer it up.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Table.
Rothwell,
Yes, the table.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes, I did notice that there was a procedural problem here. I vote yes to table.
Hubbard,
Yes, to table.
Aguirre,
It wasn't a procedural problem, it was something that was identified and is being corrected. I vote yes.
Well, there were no interviews.
resolution 626 has been tabled. Resolution 627.
Ratifies authorization for supervisor to execute addendum agreement with FC Watson Land Surveyors, PC, in connection with Safe Routes to School. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote please.
Rothwell,
yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
This is very important, the Safe Routes to School. This is certainly a long time coming, and I'm glad to see this moving forward. This has been many years. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yeah, exactly. It has been a long time coming. I'm very excited it's finally here. For the safety of our students, I vote yes.
Aguirre,
Yes, I'm very excited we finally got this going, and I think construction is gonna start in the fall, so very soon. I vote yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 628.
Ratifies agreement with FC Watson Land Surveyor, PC, for surveying services in connection with the Town Square demolition. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 629.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post bid for restoration of cupola at George Young Community Center. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
The cupola is in very bad shape. I know when Helen Duryea wanted to pay to have it painted, we couldn't even get it done, so it needs to be repaired. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes, a good use for some of the community benefit monies.
Aguirre,
Yes, I think they're also gonna have, including water, at one point, water had to be done, watering had to be done manually, and we try actually to move Catherine the cupola, and our engineer had indicated that it was in very good shape, because we were gonna replace it, and he thought it was in very good place, and this is gonna enhance it, you could plant flowers, and we really look forward to seeing this. I vote yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 630.
Awards bid for police uniform items. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 631.
Authorizes an employee to attend hazmat tech training. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote please.
Rothwell,
yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
I did have one question on this. I think, obviously, this training is very important. Glad that John is going, but I think that's for you, Chief. Is the closest training in Alabama? Because this was in Alabama.
I can answer that question because I have received that type of training, and the experts it's conducted by the military, and that's where I went for the training, and that's where all first responders go, and they usually pay for most of the course on it. And this is a very critical training in case we have any, what's called COBRA, chemicals or biologicals or nuclear matter. You're trained to identify that, and yes, that's correct. It's the only location where it's given, and it's excellent training. They'll have it for the rest of their lives.
Okay, so I'm not questioning that the training is needed. My question was it whether there was training closer, or you were saying this is the only training available?
Yes, it is. It's military. You can't just have a road show to do chemical, biological, and nuclear matter training. You have to be in very secure conditions. It has to have doctors and highly trained personnel. You have to be out in the desert or out in some remote area. You can't conduct this type of training in any municipality, and that's the municipality in the United States that it has been identified. Yeah, so there isn't any, unfortunately, Catherine.
Okay, I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 632.
Adopts local law to amend Chapter 207 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Animals. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
There's few times when you have an opportunity to lead by example. I feel like the state of New York will eventually catch up to us, but when you see an inhumane practice, and we have an opportunity to take action, and I intend to do that. I have always said that I will represent you to the best I can and vote with a conscience, and let my conscience be my guide. I thank all the Code Revision Committee and the town attorneys and our town board coordinator for all the effort that they put into this legislation, and I'm proud to present it and profoundly vote yes.
Bayrock.
Yes, indeed.
Kent.
Certainly, if any business is built upon a model of exploiting animals, it's about business, and it should go away. There's certainly plenty of reputable breeders out there. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
I want to thank Ken for, I know he put hours and hours of work into this, along with our town attorney's office and our town board coordinator. I appreciate all the work that was done. I think all of us that sit up here are animal lovers and dog lovers in particular.
We are.
And I agree, this is a long time coming, and it's the right thing to do. I vote yes.
Aguirre.
I just want to make a quick statement. I never believed in generalizing people. I think this particular legislation may indicate that all pet stores are puppy mills, and I'm not sure if that is the case or not. When legislation is passed at the federal, state, and local levels, everyone needs to ensure it doesn't conflict with or supersedes laws. So those are things that I didn't quite have an answer. However, I want to make it perfectly clear, anyone who abuses animals should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 633. That's amazing.
Ratifies the provisional appointment of a buildings maintenance manager. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 634.
Budget adoption for community benefit funds, open space. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
So I'm very happy to have been a part of the community, negotiating the community benefit funds that we used for this through the solar projects. I'm always pleased when we can have, move forward with preserving open space and agriculture in our town, and I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Okay. This, which resolution are we talking about? I minus missed 634. Yes. This is for the Sharpers Hill. Yes, that's the, where's Anne Marie? She's not here?
No, it is for Sharpers Hill, though.
Yep.
Yes.
It's for 3 projects.
Yep.
Yep. This was an area that myself and the attorney sat down and budgeted for it, and it's great. It's okay, we don't need Anne Marie, I just had a question I can answer off the record, and I'm happy to be able to do this, and there's more coming, and I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 635.
Authorizes the supervisor to sign a professional services agreement for services rendered in connection with the Railroad Avenue Transit-Oriented Development Project, RFQ, and the RFQ Committee. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rockwell.
Yes.
A-Rod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 636.
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Classifies site plan application for the Suffolk Theater addition as a Type 1 action pursuant to SECRA and requests lead agency status for the purpose of coordinated SECRA review, 118 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-129-1-8.4. So moved.
Seconded.
And
Vote,
I
please.
want to call for discussion here, Winman. I have a question about this before we move forward. Certainly, I like I'm always excited to have the arts downtown. This enlarges the stage and adds extra room so we can move forward with some theater things. My concern here on this resolution is I don't believe we saw the final site plan, and there were things brought up in the staff report that needed to be addressed. So I don't know how we can move on this without seeing the final staff report. I have also not seen the EAF.
You can't, Catherine, unfortunately, you can't have a full a site plan, a completed site plan without a SECRA. Site plan, SECRA will determine things that have to go onto the final site plan, so.
No, there were questions in here of things that the planning department wanted addressed, and though we have not seen the final site plan with those items addressed, so it doesn't seem appropriate to move forward
Is
without
Bob here?
without the final site plan.
Can you answer this question concerning SECRA and final site plan?
And I'm actually looking to staff to answer this. Mr. Murphy, do we have the final site plan?
Vic Pershnowski, Riverhead, consultant to the Suffolk Theater. What Councilwoman Kent is referring to is a question about the parking analysis. And in order, we did some back and forth between Marty, our architect, Rick Stott, and the planning department. And we're in the process of answering that question. We needed an as-built survey from the engineering department to achieve that goal. That survey is not going to be finished until Friday, at which point we are going to get a copy of, and we're going to finish that analysis. This resolution is not the end of the site plan. The site plan will probably change several times when the process is over. This starts the clock of the coordinated review, and we wanted to get that going. Of course, I'll let Jefferson further, but that's really what the issue is here. And all the other questions were answered, and we just needed the as-built survey. And we worked with Marty because he designed a new parking scheme. That won't be ready until next Friday, and then once we get that, we'll have that all resolved within 30 days.
Jeff, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just to elaborate on what Victor Przanowski stated, the only really change that staff was asking for was a clarification on the parking layout as it exists today, as what was shown on the site plan. The site plan itself is not going to change the result of that. Circulation around the building may change as a result of revisions to the plan that we vetted out through the review process. But for the purpose of forwarding this on to other involved agencies, the parking circulation layout really doesn't have much bearing on that, per se. And during the course of the review, the plan is going to evolve as the process moves forward. So staff recommends the application be forwarded to all the other involved agencies, just for the sole purpose of lead agency status. That's all we're asking for at this time.
Well, and I understand that, and there were issues that were brought up by your department. Yes, things with utilities, the lighting, the heights of the proposed lighting, some parking issues. No, I just don't think it's right for us to be asked to vote on something when we haven't received the final site plan, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, at the work session, I questioned the parking, and I was afraid we were going to lose parking spaces. After I conferred with our parking department chairman and went over the final draft of what we did for the parking revamping down behind the theater, the Second Street parking, we did not in fact lose spaces. The way, when Mr. Sinlewski drew up the map, he included the area for how the structure was going to come out into the parking lot on their property, not on the town property.
Okay.
And he structured the parking lot so that we would not lose any spaces. Originally, the original plan, we would have lost some spaces.
Okay.
But in the revamped plan, which we actually put into effect,
Good.
we lost no spaces with this addition going on.
Are you confirming that? No loss of spaces? Jeff?
Until I see the as-built plan, I can't confirm that.
Okay, well,
But
it's
in
being-
any event, the secret process, that the resolution being put forward today, really doesn't have weight on that, because all we're doing right now is seeking lead agency status to move the secret
Right.
process forward. That's it.
Well, and
And the plan will certainly evolve beyond the secret resolution that you're reviewing today. So it's going to evolve as the review process goes forward. We can't do that, though, until we get this resolution behind us.
Well, and I'm just calling to table because I'm being asked to vote on something, and I have not received the final site plan.
And not being argumentative, you won't see a final site plan until the end of the whole site plan review process, because the plan will be revised pursuant to your review as the application process proceeds.
It's a
This is just the
continuous
first step.
process. It's the beginning process of the whole plan and the final site plan. After all the changes and the requirements are made, then they receive the final site plan. It's final site plan, this is the beginning, is SEQA, the final site plan is the end. And we're not gonna have one.
And maybe one of our town attorneys can weigh in on that?
Well, I mean, I walked in late, so I missed most of the discussion, so I guess I'm trying to understand the
Bob,
issue.
The
but what I-
resolution before us is
I-
resolution
I know which one it
636,
is. I know which
the
one it is.
SEQA, and we're
I
in the
understand.
middle of voting. We're in the middle of voting, just to be aware. Okay.
I understand. I didn't understand where you were in vote, but I mean, I don't really understand what the
We didn't start
issue
the
is
vote yet.
to
We are
this
voting
resolution,
right
because
now.
as pointed out by Jefferson and other speakers, the board is not taking a final action here. This is just to get the secret process rolling and declaring it a type 1, which I can't understand why that would be problematic, because that is what's being done. We're not determining whether there's a neg deck being issued. We're not issuing a pos deck at this point in time. It's again, as I stated, I think of last meeting, the understanding and one of the statements that's in seeker is that the lead agency, which I think the town board's going to desire to take, that process should be initiated as early on in the action as possible, and that's what's happening here. So I'm not sure how else to answer the question.
All right, thank you, Bob. And I
But-
know our deputy town attorney wasn't here for the discussion. Do you have any comments to add?
No, I completely apologize. I was focused on
All right, that's okay. I just knew you were in the room. Okay.
Okay, so you want to table the resolution?
I think it should be tabled till we receive the final site plan approval.
Okay, can we get
I mean,
a,
the final site plan.
Okay,
Staff
hold on a
report.
second.
didn't
We
see
need
the
a
final-
second.
We didn't see the
Vic,
final
we
site
need a
plan.
second? This is not a public hearing, Vic? We got this. Do we have a second? We don't have a second. No second? Okay, it's not tabled. Diane, can you please take the vote?
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yeah, and a heartfelt thank you to Bob Castaldi, a visionary and a person who invested in this town, and thank you for your investment and your commitment to this community. Absolutely, yes.
Kent,
Well, and I'm certainly in agreement with all those statements. I'm very excited about this project. Yes, Mr. Castaldi has done really beautiful work in Riverhead, and I look forward to this one, but I like to see the final site plan before I vote. I vote no.
Hubbard,
I'm a little baffled why you're looking to see a final site plan on it. This is not the procedure as to how it works. So I'm not understanding where you're coming from on this, but I want to echo what Councilman Bayrott said. I've often, and Bob knows this, I've often called the Suffolk Theater the hidden gem, the best hidden gem around. We don't want that anymore. We want it to be the best known gem around now, because now that it's back open for business, we want to get the people back down there, and this is part of what puts Riverhead on the map. The aquarium, the Suffolk Theater, the downtown square, all these things come into fruition are what's going to make the town of Riverhead a much better place to be and live. It's going to raise your real estate values. It's going to do all sorts of good things. So I absolutely vote yes for this.
Well, and I'm just going to reiterate, I'm not negating any of those points. I'm in agreement with those points. I just like to do a proper review of everything.
Aguirre.
Mr. Castaldi, I want to personally thank you. Years ago, when you decided to take on the big challenge of resurrecting the Suffolk Theater, it sat there dormant for so many years, and you brought it back to its to better shine. You gentrified that block. You kept a lot of the history in there, and it is one of the best locations to visit here. It's beautiful. There's weddings. And now you're going to move this to the next step. And I'm sorry that, that there's a request for a final site plan. We know that we're starting your process. It's the beginning. And it's the beginning of a new era for the Suffolk Theater. And again, I want to thank you, and it's a wholehearted yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 637.
Somebody want to,
Sets elected officials' salaries for 2022. So moved.
Seconded?
vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Bob, this didn't need a public hearing?
No.
Okay, I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 638.
Reallocation of community benefit funds and transfer of capital project reserve funds for the South Jamesport Tennis Facility, capital project number 72120. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, this, for the people watching, especially the pickleball players and the tennis players, this is going to get the court down in Jamesport done in a much quicker fashion than if we had to spread that money out over other projects. So this is going to be a very good thing.
Yes, it
And
is.
I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 639.
Pays the bills.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes, pay the bills.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
That's it? All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. I just have one quick announcement at the end. We are accepting names and phone numbers and contact information for those seniors who need a booster shot. As soon as they become available at the senior center, we're going to start the process. You can call 631-727-3200, extension 251. We need your name, your callback telephone number, and when you took the vaccine and the type of vaccines. We are petitioning the governor to get some at the senior center, and as soon as they're here, we're going to call you back. I hope everyone joins us at the festival, right, at the festival on October 10th, Saturday, and,
Open comments.
okay, and we're going to now open it up to open comments.
And just a reminder for folks again that they'll have 5 minutes to make any comments that they have on any topic today, and the board may or may not respond, and of course that time, if they do respond, does not stop the clock. So folks are encouraged to make all their comments or ask all their questions up front, and they're reminded to state their name and their hamlet, please, for the record.
Up front, and then we answer.
Bob, did you have anything else to add?
Again,
We don't have to answer.
this is,
We'll
part of
wait
the
till
rules and
the end, and if
procedures.
we
I
want.
think everybody's kind of, they know it, but, 5 minutes and, address the board. And go ahead, Mark.
Start?
Okay,
Okay.
welcome back, Marty.
Okay, on the clock.
On the clock.
I'm here representing a number of clients, actually. It has to do with water key money and water availability letters in Riverhead Water District. I'll take you back to a public hearing on January 15, 2008. That is when there was a public hearing to adopt commercial properties to pay key money. Just some quick quotes from the minutes from page 52. It was to adopt the recommendations regarding setting fees for the water district. Talked about key money, which was established back in 1986. It had proved to be a tremendous potential based on development, and the key money was used to make needed repairs to additional facilities. And extended that to commercial property owners for the purpose of having key money to pay for the additional facilities for the water demand for those services. It applied to all of the commercial properties, and I'll quote out of the minutes from Mr. Kelleher at the time. He clarified, I'll give a couple of examples. If there was a hotel on 58 that was already in the district and had a water service, they would just pay a tap fee, no key money. If they were off 58 and they needed a lateral extension, they would pay for a map and plan, a lateral extension, they still would pay key money. None of those things changed according to the testimony, other than the application of key money, which was intended for future improvements. That was amended in a public hearing was held on April 7th, 2009 to amend that, and it was just a couple of code amendments to the table, which was table, it was actually table 11, and it was adopted by local law 4-2008. Subsequent to that public hearing, it was then amended by local law 32-2009, and again, that was just some housekeeping on the actual calculation numbers on the, as it applied to certain commercial developments. I'm going to fast forward to a planning board meeting on July 15th of this year. I'm just going to quote this right from the minutes of the meeting. Mr. Carey stated, so we've been talking about inviting you, Frank, and you and Ms. Prudenti to our meeting for several months. We want to talk about water availability. Mr. Mancini stated, so we've been working quite tightly together, Anne Marie and myself, John Collins, we've had you involved. So moving forward, you're not going to be able to approve these projects immediately with water on hand. So we work with these developments and, get the resources we need to develop, supply that they need for them in order to approve them. It used to be maybe you'd come and get a water availability letter. It is going to be less far easier than you are now. Mr. Denseski said it sounded like it was an infrastructure problem, not a water availability problem in terms of the amount of water that's available in Riverhead. He was correct on that. Later on, Ms. Prudenti noted, we're not denying them water. We're saying, look, we have to look at our capacity and ability to meet the demands of your project. If we can't with our current infrastructure, we will need to make a well site or a tank. The applicant can pay and fund for that, okay? Later on, they talked about what the fees were doing. And basically, in a nutshell, since I'm on 5 minutes, I'm going to paraphrase it. In a nutshell, they decided that they would now require a map and plan for any project. The map and plan would then have H2M do a study, draw up improvements that could be done in the district elsewhere, and apply them to current projects. That does not comply with the town code, section 291.3, petitioning for water, as well as the additional sections in the town code as to what applies, as well as town law, the local laws that were adopted for water availability. Bottom line is, if you're going to extend the district, add a lateral, you pay for the map and plan, you pay for the installation of all those pipes and all related improvements as the developer. You also pay key money for future improvements to the water district. Okay? If you're in the district and you have water in front of your site, you don't need a lateral. You don't need a map and plan, and you don't need all of that other work. So that was very interesting at that meeting.
Sir, you have 30 seconds left. 30 seconds.
Excuse me?
You have 30 seconds left.
Okay, 30 seconds. Subsequent to that meeting, I got a letter from H2M telling Ray Castronovo they want $7 grand to do a study to tell him what improvements he could do, including possibly extending the water main as a loop all the way back to Main Street from McDermott Avenue, which is $500,000. Those requests don't meet town code. We sent the letter back to H2M and Mr. Mancini. No, we're not doing that. And I filed by registered mail water availability requests officially for his project as well as 3 other projects today, because it's obviously no longer an email request for a letter.
Sir, that's 5 minutes.
And you get it, now it's got to be done obviously by registered mail. I don't think what's being done meets town code, and I think you as the water board better consider what's going on here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marty. Anyone else? Comments on any matter? Yes. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Karen Kemp, and I'm a native Long Islander. I live at 109 Timber Drive in Calverton. I moved here for the natural environment and peaceful neighborhood. I am deeply concerned about the prospect of a drag racing strip becoming a permanent fixture in Enterprise Park. This past summer, my neighbors and I endured the negative effects of these events on our immediate environment. It's been proven that drag racing causes noise pollution, soil contamination, water contamination, and air pollution. These are all very real issues. Noise, my house is approximately 1.2 miles from the strip. The weekend of September 11th and 12th, we had to endure screeching tires and revving engines. We could also hear the announcer. This lasted all day long on Saturday and on Sunday and into the night. My neighbor has a recording of the noise. I filed a complaint on Sunday with the local police. I know of several of my neighbors also filed noise complaints. Under our Town of Riverhead codes, E-Code 360, under definitions, noise pollution is defined as, and I quote, the presence of that amount of acoustic energy for that amount of time necessary to, 1, a cause of nuisance, 2, interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property, end quote. Under prohibited acts, I quote, squealing tires. No person shall operate a vehicle in such a manner as to cause unnecessary noise by spinning or squealing the tires of such vehicle, end quote. Obviously, the drag racing strip contributes a great amount of noise pollution. Also, holding a drag racing event on September 11th was shockingly disrespectful. Furthermore, it is thoughtless and appalling to have a noisy drag racing strip across from a national cemetery, which should be a peaceful resting place for our veterans. National cemeteries are noise-sensitive zones. Under the Town of Riverhead Noise Ordinance, commercial landscapers are barred from conducting business on Sundays in order to preserve the tranquility of the day. Yet you are allowing racing over the weekends in close proximity to a national cemetery. Veterans Memorial Park is located next to the runway. There are 4 ball fields, a dog park, and picnic area. Many families and children use this park. They will be directly affected by the pollution. The noise levels will lower property values. No one wants to live next to a drag strip. Go to Zillow and Realtor.com, and there is a rating for noise in certain neighborhoods. Noise is bad for property values and bad for business. Soil contamination and water contamination is also of great concern. PJ1 track bite is a chemical used in drag racing to enhance the traction of tires on the track. OSHA classifies PJ1 as a hazardous substance. PJ1 is highly flammable. I have a material safety data sheet in my folder, if you'd like to see it, from the manufacturer that outlines the toxicity of this chemical. The list of chemicals include N-hexane, ethanol, hexane, methylcyclopentane, and toluene. These are all toxic. The data sheet states PJ1 chemical vapors are heavier than air and will travel to low-level areas, for example, sumps, drains, and water pipes. The consequence is there is a high risk for soil contamination and water contamination here.
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds left.
Furthermore, there should be fire. Should there be a fire, the chemicals will be used for fire suppression are also highly toxic. This is already a Superfund site. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, I am living with cancer, a victim of leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia, AML. I was exposed to toxins in my environment. Ruination is at the core here, ruining the qualities of the farm community.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, that's 5 minutes.
Ruining the tranquility, ruining the value of our homes, We run the risk of ruining our environment and our health. I oppose the drag racing strip. Thank you for your attention. I'm sorry for running over.
It's okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on open comments? Yes. Good afternoon again.
Hi, yes, good afternoon again. I just simply want to say thank you. I am in awe of what you just did for animals. You know, we domesticated
Ma'am, if you could
dogs.
just state your name again for the transcriptionist.
Diane Madden. I'm in awe of what you've done. I've never seen a group of compassionate elected officials, certainly under one roof. I think that what you've done will ripple across Long Island. I don't even know if you know or understand the magnitude of kindness to animals you just shown. And I, for one, will continue to take that message to other counties and further. And I just thank you so, so very much. I know a lot of people, you're going to be hearing from a lot of people with that same gratitude. They could not be here today. I'd like to also thank Puppy Mill Free Long Island, who works day and night. Again, we don't profit from this. This is a labor of love. And what you just did is something that we have been urging many counties, many towns, municipalities to do. So I thank you so very, very much, and keep up the wonderful work. And I loved even your speeches, because they were genuine as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John Cullen, Northville.
Hi.
Right off the bat, I'll go right with Calverton, the racetrack. I grew up, I went over to West Hampton Speedway many, many times on weekends. With Mr. Peter Scoslow, the rep for the racing in the first 2 days, I went to 2 of those races. First day I went, I was surprised at how loud the cars were, honestly. This was a street car race, but if you went in the back, you would have seen probably 100 trailers that were brought in, because those cars were not registered for street. These cars, it was great watching the races. I enjoyed watching Maseratis against Lamborghinis. I enjoyed the quieter cars. But every 5th or 6th race, it was a blaster. The second time I came to the races, I brought my headphones. And when the blasters went on, I had to push my headphones in because it was so loud. So I understand the noise issue over there. Mr. Scalzio, or I'll just call him Pete, he said there'd be quiet cars. It would be a quiet car race. He also said, as the woman before just spoke, about the resin that they put on before they do the race. As some of you would know, the cars will pull up, they'll do a spin out on a chemical. Mr. Pete said that would not be on the racetrack this year. He said it to the town board. I was sitting right here, and he said, okay, I won't put that out there. But I saw the guy with the spray gun out there with a hose going from both tracks, pretty much all 4 wheels, so they could all do the spin out before the race started so they could get better gription. We know what's in those chemicals. Barbara Blast told you it was in those chemicals way before this whole thing started. So I just want to mention that. As we're talking about Calverton, the last time I was here, we mentioned a bike path that was getting a $50,000 fixation. I'd like to just pass these pictures over to you, please. If you're going to fix a bike path at $50,000, I would hope that you'd be able to clean up the bike path. As these pictures show, Mr. Wooten was here earlier. He was talking about double pole fixtures in his tenure, right up at the seat where you're sitting, Mr. Bayride. And he was talking about the double poles. These are poles, telephone poles, piles of them that are located on the bike path toward I'm not sure if you know the bike path well, but it's where the Wellbridge back entrance is when they were fixing the center there. And these pictures show a load of telephone poles just stacked on top of each other. It's almost like they took Mr. Wooten's poles and dumped them there. And then on the next picture, you'll see blacktop. Blacktop that was either used for the bike path, was either used for the Wellbridge Center when they were building, that they just took the extra blacktop and they dumped it right on the ground. That should be picked up. We all know what blacktop is made out of. It's made out of oils going right into the ground in Calverton. I was hoping that that area could be fixed up and cleaned up. I think it's an easy fix. It's an easy clean. You're certainly not going to crank up that wood and throw it out and put it in your fireplace. Yeah, but I'm hoping that area can be cleaned. On another note, Pier Avenue had another accident 8 weeks ago, 10:30 at night, knocked out the power on my house for an hour and a half. That's a third accident or a third situation on Pier Avenue during the summer. Again, he knocked the pole out. When they came to fix the pole, they left the broken pole on the ground. 8 weeks later, it's still there. I'll give you the address, just north of 143 Pier is a phone pole that's sitting on the ground, telephone pole, or a light pole. I'm not sure who came and fixed it. And then on top of that, being that that's the third accident on Pier, it took me almost 4 years to have Sound Shore Road speed limit drop down from 40 miles per hour to 35. From 35 to 30. I was hoping to get it down to 25. They did Penny's Road. If you know the area, it's a big U with Penny's goes up, Sound Shore goes across, and Pier comes back. Penny's and Sound Shore are 30 mile per hour speed limits. I'm hoping that we can do Pier Avenue down to 30 miles per hour. As you know, it's kind of a drag strip there on nights also, with people coming out of the parking lot and racing up that road. I live in that area. I hear it. And I think that's about it. I hope that can all work.
Okay,
Chief,
thank you.
Chief is still here. I worked with the chief to get the speed limit dropped down. It took a long time. I hope this doesn't take any longer, and I'll talk to the chief about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cullen, and certainly I'm going to look into, see what's in the pictures.
Yes.
Look into, because the Epcal Trail is such a beautiful spot.
It is a beautiful
We should be maintaining it.
And I have been part of the Riverhead Clean Committee, or not
Yes.
Clean Committee, but I volunteered
Anti-litter
three
committee.
times already, so I'd like to see it a little clearer. If you're gonna spend the money to fix those little ruts on the bike path, you can spend the money to clean up that mess over there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Cullen. And yes, you always come up to our litter pickups.
As you can see, that's the bike path on those pictures.
Okay, anyone else? Carol? Good afternoon again.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much. You guys are awesome, and I'm so proud of you guys because you have integrity, and I knew it. I just knew that you all did it, okay? I really have to do this. I'm sorry. I really, really have to do this. Sportsman Kennels, she doesn't recognize me, but I worked on her animals, I treated her animals, I treated her breeding animals, and I treated her puppies. And I know for a fact that she does get her puppies from puppy mills. I'm sorry, I just don't like the lies. I have a whole list of all the puppy mills that she gets her puppies from, and she does breeding there as well. Like I said, I treated her breeding animals, all right? And I have all the paperwork, Newswanger, okay, et cetera. She's on the Humane Society's top 100 worst list, okay? So you did the right thing. You absolutely did the right thing, because there's shady people out there, and you saw right through it, and I am really, really proud of you. And there's a plethora of documentation out there on each of these places. They don't realize it. You know, they think the people are stupid or whatever, but they're not. And there's a plethora of information out there, and a paper trail, okay? And they cannot deny it. They can talk all they want, they cannot deny it. It's all right here. It's all right here. And that's all I want to say. You did the right thing. We all appreciate you, and each and every one of you, aces. You're just unbelievable. And we'll just continue to work on this, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Okay, I think this gentleman's waiting. I think it's Helen, your first name? Yeah, he's speaking now. You can come up next.
Yeah, hi.
Yes,
my
good
name is-
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Castronolo. I own the old Oddfellows building. That's where my office is. And also,
What family are you from, sir? You're
Excuse
Ray-
me?
What's your name, Raymond?
Raymond Castronolo, right from downtown Riverhead. Okay. And I'm proposing a Zenith building on McDermott Avenue. And I'm the gentleman that received a letter from H2M asking for $7,500 and some improvements. So the question that I have is, can the water district superintendent and/or the town attorney change requirements and procedures for fees for public water without a code change? Because in this letter, it indicates the $7,500 and whatever mains that I could be exposed to, whatever improvements, when the key money is designed to pay for those fees. So the question was, can that happen without a code change?
The question presupposes that I am not familiar with the circumstances. We're not going to litigate it here.
Okay, it's just a question, that's
All
all.
right.
All right,
Okay,
thank you
it's a
very much.
comment section, so, okay.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Anyone else? Ma'am, you want to?
Very briefly, you notice it's all about the last couple of years, not the 50 years before, but as I said, with COVID, with the fact that the paperwork wasn't up to date. It's all paperwork that these violations are, and I don't lie. I can prove it all, and that's why I brought this. We have all the records in the net, but we didn't have the paperwork handy. And the girl who came, the inspector, was a new one. Of course, she's an activist also. But what happened to the other 50 years? Not a problem. Not a problem. Isn't that interesting? That this is all the same thing that I'm explaining to you. That's why I brought up. Our paperwork was not up to date. And without the paperwork to prove what I said is true, I'm wrong. Okay, I accept that. But when I got the paperwork, oh no, it's too late. Now, you don't want dogs sold? Fine. That's okay. You don't want dogs sold from breeders? I never have to buy another dog. You want to minimize the amount I could breed? Pick a fair figure. Just don't keep me out of business 50 years later when I'm 85 over 1 year. Yes, I understand, but look at my dogs. They're fat, they're happy, and they're healthy. I would have brought the whole crew in, but they had to take care of them. They're not kids. They're married people with families. 90 days to eliminate. You see how many dogs I have? To eliminate? I have many dogs that you could place because I spay them, but I keep them till I go to heaven. I have my males forever till I have to put them down in my arms with Dr. Tepper. So before you give a blanket over me, what they say is right for puppy mills. I am not a puppy mill. I have top champion pet dogs. I have excellent quality dogs. And yes, I did buy for something. Did you know? Our law means that anyone that we buy from cannot have any violations for within 2 years. And the bookkeeper keeps those records because when they inspect, she's perfect. They're right there with her. It was us in the front that couldn't get all the paperwork together because we're minus 3 people with COVID. That's it. So I would like to stay in business. If you don't want me to sell here, fine. I would like to breed, minimize the amount. I don't want all these dogs. Take the ones that we spay. They're 5 years old. We don't breed them. We start them at 2 after we check the OFA on the hips. And then we keep them for a few. We don't breed. We have a lot of dogs because I don't believe in breeding every heat. I'm a woman. We don't do it, the vets say, breed them whenever they're heat. We don't. We skip it. That's why you won't find a skinny little scrawny. You'll see a big fat mama, you'll wonder, how many puppies? Because I have more dogs, I don't have to breed that often. But you could cut me down. You could say, okay, breed 25 dogs. Okay, say whatever you want. But it is not fair based on people who give it overall and don't know. Now, this, of course, would not be the end all. People that buy from us, they're not. You could go to a shelter, but not everybody wants a shelter. They want a pedigree dog from a reputable place that's been in business 50 years because their whole family bought dogs there. They call up, they send the kids in, hell and take care of them. It's generations. If I was so terrible, they wouldn't be there. Yes, what they have is, look at the dates, look at the facts, look at the results. Oh, tiles, we do tiles every week. It's maintenance every day of life. So, whatever you want to do, but it is unfair, and your conscience knows it's unfair to put a woman 52 years in business out of business. Bad enough I lost one of the girls at work. Okay, before I start crying. Bad enough I lost my brother. It's enough. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else want to comment? Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for your show. My name is Katie Sweeney.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you for your show of compassion and empathy towards the animals. I was actually moved to tears when you were voting, and just my faith in humanity is restored. And thank you from the bottom of my heart and soul. Thank you.
Anyone else want to comment from the public? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barbara Blass. I live in Jamesport, or maybe Aquabog these days, I'm not sure. I do have comments on two matters. The first is the car storage at EPCAL. Besides the aforementioned environmental concerns about that, I'm hoping there's some language in the contract which would obligate IAA to clean up any leaks from vehicles at the site according to some kind of acceptable protocol. If not, until such time as the vehicles are removed from the premises, perhaps the town should insist on that. Also, from a zoning perspective, and this is fact, it's not opinion, there's a citation, section 301, 341A of the code. Outdoor sale or storage of motor vehicles is expressly prohibited, except by special permit of the town board. This is in this zoning use district. The special permit has specific performance standards, the most salient one being that the storage has to be supportive of a principal use or building. In other words, you can't have standalone storage. So IAA is paying to use property in the town for a prohibited use. I do understand that the contract was signed prior to the enactment of that zoning use district. I understand that. But this is an opinion now, not a fact, an opinion. This is something that I believe should be clearly understood now before some future owner of the runway or some private car dealership looks to enter into a similar contract. They should know it would no longer be allowed. The second issue concerns the comp plan and the August 3rd, 2021 memo from AKRF, which was distributed to you on that date. And it concerns affordable housing. It's also online, which is where I read it. For those of you who may not have read it, I'm going to highlight some of the points. The consultants state, quote, "The town has a substantial amount of affordable housing. The analysis included only rental units, but in terms of overall affordability of housing in Riverhead, the consultants noted the median home value is 7% lower than Suffolk County as a whole. The 1,883 mobile homes which are owned and not rented were not included in the analysis. The 500 accessory apartments throughout the town, which are also considered affordable, are not included in the inventory in the analysis." I'm not pointing, this is from the document, I'm not bringing this to your attention. This is what the consultants brought to our attention. Of the 3,133 rentals, 100% of them are considered affordable, based upon the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. There are 538 existing and proposed rental apartments in the DC1 district. Based upon population trends, Riverhead can meet the forecasted affordable housing demand through the year 2040. We can meet that demand even now through that year 2040. Observation. No rental units in the DC3 district are included in that total count. So none of those at 205 Osborne Avenue that were recently proposed, nor the potential apartment buildings or build-out from the TOD, which could be up to a couple of hundred additional apartments. Again, my opinion, we should also look at this housing situation from a regional perspective. To what degree are other towns fulfilling their affordable housing obligations? The town of Southampton approved the Riverside Overlay District, which includes upwards of 1,700 rentals right across the river. Unfortunately, we will be absorbing the impacts to the Riverhead School District and even traffic impacts on Route 58, as they discussed in their GEIS. But despite the supporting documentation about the adequacy of affordable housing in the town of Riverhead and the ability to meet our needs through 2040, the memo concludes with the following statement, quote, "The town may wish to add up to 300 to 500 new designated affordables over the planning period to meet the needs of the existing and future lower-income populations." So I do anxiously await your evaluation and response
Ma'am, you
to
have
that.
30 seconds left.
To that suggestion. And 30 seconds I will take. So at the last town board meeting, I was unable to attend, but I did ask Takwi to read a statement for me on the moratorium. And at the end of that statement, Supervisor, you concluded by saying, well, Barbara Blass is not here, but as you recall, I was single-handedly responsible for putting solar into the comp plan, the comp plan, and that's why it's in Calverton the way we see it now.
Ma'am, that's
And
5 minutes.
I asked you for documentation. It is not in here. Bob, you were the supervisor at the time. We never discussed solar. You didn't respond to my email, and I'm asking you to retract that statement that was made in a public hearing record. It's on the public hearing record, and it is untrue, and it's unfair. I'm respectfully asking you to retract that misstatement. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else from the, thank you, Barbara. Anyone else from the public?
Hi, Chakri Turchin, Calverton Civic. Good evening. Well, not evening, it's 4 o'clock.
Well, good afternoon. The next one's the evening.
I just have 4 things I'd like to bring to your attention.
Okay.
Instead of the last being the last, it's going to be the first. We'd like to have Zoom for this meeting, right now, not in a hearing. People are asking to participate, not just listen. So I know you've heard me say this, but I have no problem making it a marathon if it's not a sprint. If you don't make your decisions today, anytime I come up to the microphone, you can expect that that is what I'm going to bring to you, because that's what people are bringing to me. We'd also like to see the correspondence in the agenda made available as PDFs, so that we as the public can view them and apprise ourselves of their content in order to speak intelligently at these meetings. And with that, I have a letter I would like to read to you from Mr. George Gudmundson of Calverton. It was sent to you. Hopefully you've had a chance to read it. There's a lot of correspondence on our agenda today. So it says, "Dear Ms. Wilhelm, please disseminate the communication as soon as possible to each member of the town board, the town attorney, and police chief. I write again to express my displeasure and that of many of my Timber Park neighbors at the ongoing drag races at EPCAL, approved by the board earlier this year. Your approval of this nuisance has significantly degraded the quality of life for many in Timber Park. It's particularly galling that Mr. Rothwell, a man never elected by the people of Riverhead, instead appointed by Supervisor Aguirre, has been and continues to be the champion for this noxious enterprise." Ms.
Concrete, let me just correct you on one statement. The board elected, this was done by resolution by the board. You signal as myself appointing him. I want to clear the record. There was a resolution created, and there was a resolution that was voted in, and the resolution was adopted. Okay, we're not going to take that time away from you. Go ahead.
Thank you, appreciate that. So Ms. Aguirre and Mr. Rothwell continue to publicly espouse that most everyone in Riverhead love the EPCAL races and that they receive few, if any, noise complaints regarding the races. Ms. Aguirre and Mr. Rothwell, much like Pinocchio, I feel your noses are getting longer each time you say that. I provide below the names and addresses, which I'll hold off the record myself reading the letter, of neighbors in Timber Park who have personally told me they oppose the races at EPCAL, mostly because of noise, but also for environmental and other reasons. I will read their names. DeBay family, Conklin family, Robert and Laura Wells, Ann Molosky, Anderson family, Kuhl family, Roskowski family, Ware family, Wimberger family, I'm not going to say it correctly, Waugola family, Gessler family. These are not all the families that oppose the racing, just those who have either stopped me while I walk in the neighborhood or those coming to my home. Additionally, several other families choose not to speak publicly, owing to fear of reprisals, having witnessed the threatening comments posted earlier this year on social media by members of the group you've chosen to favor over your constituents. Long Island needs a drag strip. As a retired police officer, I can tell you the comments posted on social media threaten the well-being of Timber Park residents who oppose the races. Some threatened acts, if in fact were committed, would constitute violations of the New York State penal law, but were quickly taken down by cooler heads in this wonderful family-oriented group. I urge you to withdraw your support for these drag races that are degrading Timber Park's quality of life. I specifically urge you to vote against any special event permits for car racing of any kind at EPCAL. I further urge the Chief of Police to initiate tracking of all expenditures associated with policing these events. This will enable independent stakeholders to determine the fiscal efficiency of this ill-conceived endeavor. Ms. Aguirre should initiate the tracking of all town expenses associated with these races. Sincerely, George Gudmundson, Timber Park. And the last piece I'd like to bring to you is last week there was a fire which I know the board is aware of.
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds left.
Thank you. I know that the town board is aware of the fire out at EPCAL, of the cars that are stored there on the runway. It happened 11:30 at night. There's nothing less to say than it was an irresponsible decision by this board to continue that contract. Please let us know how you can get yourselves and us out of it. I welcome your response. Thank you.
Bob, did you want to add to the, this is Sandy from 2012, can you add? And that
Well,
was-
I think it's been out there, but just so that it's done, I mean, in 2012, the town board did entertain the same thing and allowed the cars to be stored per Sandy. In 2014, the town entered into an option agreement, and that option agreement was one that gave IAA the ability to utilize the facility should a catastrophe arise. That's the reason why the agreement was entered into. They had paid, and I think I stated that at a prior meeting, $25,000 a year for 8 years in reliance of that agreement. So from a legal standpoint, I'm a little bit in a quandary as to what we could do, given the fact that there was a prior agreement entered into which gave them that option. As far as the fire, I'm under the understanding that a group is cleaning up that site today. The cleanup should be accomplished by tomorrow. A company by the name of Tetra Tech has been hired. The foam that was utilized is, I think it's a type C, which is not one that has the PFOA type of compounds and is one that's environmentally correct for the purposes of the fire. The cars that were involved are the EV cars, which were being stored 10 feet apart. As a result of this, they're now going to be stored 20 feet apart, and they're kept segregated from all the other vehicles. We've asked IAA to make sure there's around-the-clock monitoring. They have indicated a willingness to make sure that whatever they need to do to make sure spills are handled are being done. They have agreed to up the amount of times they go around the property to ensure that if there are any evidence of spills, they will put down speedy dry to make sure that they're addressed. I know from the prior instance with the 2012 Sandy, when the cars were removed, we, to my understanding, were in accord with DEC and the site was properly turned back over to us. Hopefully that addresses the concerns.
So I'd like to weigh in on this. We are hearing from a lot of people in our community that are concerned about the storage of the cars out there, and as you stated, this goes back, to 2014. But the world has changed since then, and certainly cars have changed since then. I think that we need to take a look at this. I did speak at length today I did speak with both of our fire marshals, and I spoke with you also about the storage out there. I know that they separated them, and I think there were about 20 cars that they brought out to a different area, and they originally were going to separate them 10 feet apart, then they separated them 20 feet apart. But it's my understanding that there's about 2,500 cars out there, so I certainly think we should have the discussion about not having the electric cars out there, because, the electric cars, I believe, pose a lot of challenges with fires. And that's what happened. I believe a Tesla caught on fire, and then they took care of it, and then I think the fire started up again, which is one of the issues. So I
was at the location, Catherine.
Yeah, but I'm still
that
talking.
night. No, I know.
Right.
But when something goes, something is not being portrayed accurately, I think we should stop. I personally responded to that at that night, as well as Councilman Rothwell. The fire did not go off and start again. It was contained, it was isolated, it was put out, and they waited to complete the, making sure, I mean, you were there.
Well, actually, the fire marshal told me that they had contained it, but then I guess one of the battery cars, fire started again, and then they had to call the Manorville Fire Department back again. But my point is that I think that's what I was told by the fire marshals today. But my point is that this is different, since we had this agreement, now there are these battery cars, and also there's concerns in the community, about that the cars are not drained first. There's just some discussions to be had, and I think that it would be a good idea for us to discuss this and, talk about whether this is the right thing for our town. So I'm suggesting that we have a discussion, address these things at a work session. Also, I had talked to you today, Bob, and did you confirm whether the DEC had come out? We were talking, that was something I was asking you about earlier.
As indicated, to my knowledge, Robert Marsh was notified immediately after the fire. He responded. He did provide me an email that he was made aware of it, and I do not know whether DEC physically has been there. I know discussions have been had with DEC.
I'd just like to confirm, I don't think, DEC did not come out prior to the fire.
The answer is I don't know.
And so that I would like to confirm. So some things that we need to work out, I think that this is a discussion that we should have, and I would like to have this discussion at a work session.
I'll just add to your comments that often a fire marshal has to make a decision to pause fire suppression so that one can examine the scene and allow potentially an investigation by arson squads to view and carefully look over and search for any evidence or collect any information that they want. And it is not an uncommon practice that, because during fire suppression, evidence is destroyed. So it could be, fire suppression is sometimes paused so that fire marshals can investigate a scene, and then later on, fire department may be called back for additional suppression. That's a common practice.
Well, a fire, I think with batteries, and I think you'll agree that it's more challenging with batteries, and I was told that the fire was put out, and then the fire started, a car caught on fire again. So that's what I was told. I'm asking to have the discussion. I think this is a rather big topic. Our community has concerns about it, and I believe we should have a discussion and make sure we're doing the right thing here.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, Catherine. So start the discussions, and you can speak to everyone and have meetings, and then we can move forward with that. Any other comments you have on it?
No, I started the discussion today. I did speak with them, and the fire marshals. I know they're doing an excellent job. I did speak with them. I spoke a little bit with Mr. Kozakevich, and I'm asking that the board have the discussion. Make sure we are taking care of all the things and doing the right thing here.
Yep, and that's our job and our responsibility. Thank you, Catherine. I just want to make a comment on September 12th, 2021. I received an email, and so did the board, by a member who's sitting here. I was at 11:33 was the email. I just happened to be checking. I was out in Calverton monitoring the safety of the drag strip, and at 12:09 I drove by the home. There was an individual in front of the home without a shirt. I ran into the house, closed the door. I thought that maybe they didn't want to get bothered. It was a Sunday. And then thereafter, I called the police department to do a noise check for the location, and they opened up a report, and the meter read in the low 50s. I know that the drag races on the first day, I was there when the checks were done. They completed noise checks on all four corners, including the cemetery. I also understand that they did it again towards the end of the race. So this is just something that's ongoing, and we'll get it right. And anyone have any other comments? Yes. Oh, how are you? Sorry about that. I thought we were at the end.
That's okay.
Good afternoon, and, well, yeah, it is good afternoon.
Diana Ravolo, Calverton.
Okay, Diana.
And I'm speaking on what you were talking about with the noise at the drag races.
Okay, ma'am.
On Saturday evening, August 28th, Grace and I specifically went driving around to hear what noise could be heard. We went first up and down 25, and we stopped by the cemetery and pulled in there a little bit and stopped, and we couldn't hear anything. Frankly, the noise on 25 was louder than what we could hear coming from the racetrack. And then, like I said, we drove up and down, and then we drove into Timber Park and drove around there, and we couldn't hear anything. Maybe one time we could hear something very, very faintly, but we also knew the races were going on at that time. So I just wanted to say that in defense of the noise that everybody is complaining about. I don't seem to see a problem with it. And the cars were not that loud. We attended several races.
Oh, you did, okay.
I mean, if you talk about loud cars, go over to Riverhead Raceway. There you'll hear loud cars, but not drag. And I dragged myself when I was younger out at West Hampton.
Oh, you did.
And we didn't, it's street cars. Maybe they come by trail, and yes, because the guys don't use them on the street. But they're street regulated cars. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome back, John.
Thank you. I hadn't actually intended to speak earlier, but I thought that might have offered some possible compromise. It obviously didn't. John McAuliffe from Roanoke Landing. I want to say first on process that I think the control on time is fine, but the saying that the clock is not stopped when a board member speaks, I think is not fine, and I don't know where that came from, but it's arbitrary and takes time away from the person in the town that wants to speak. I think it might be useful to know how long the option exists for whether this, and I don't know whether the board has closely examined the contract. I mean, there are two issues that have come up today having to do with EPCAL, one having to do with drag racing, the other with the car parking. I think it's notable that the car parking problem is another inheritance from Sean Walter, and I don't know whether any of the current board members were involved in that decision, but I think maybe a bit of investigation as to the nature of that contract for the parking might be in order. And again, does this go on forever and ever, or is there a fixed time, and is there some way that the board can control it? But I think the underlying problem that this brings us back to is the whole issue of EPCAL. I think that the board, it would not surprise you that I think the board needs to exercise its option to cancel the contract. It should have done it 9 months ago. It certainly should do it now. And it needs to do so first because it's the only way we regain control of the 1,040 sensitive and environmentally sensitive acres. Second, because it's necessary to rezone EPCAL to be sure that housing is totally precluded in the future. And it's not even under the contractual language right now. Finally, I think that it's obvious from both of these problems that we really need a visioning process to determine what we want EPCAL to be used for. And we need some kind of a process that assures that uses of it for extraneous purposes like the parking and like drag racing really take account of the people directly affected. Now, I went by twice also. I said at a previous meeting, the first time, the first day, I heard almost nothing. The second time, a couple of weeks later, it was a lot noisier, both with the sound system and with the cars, but it was sporadic. So I don't know, I take totally as accurate both statements that were made, that somebody went and didn't hear noise and somebody who lived nearby, or a whole bunch of people who lived nearby, had a lot of noise. Now, one can say that, well, sorry about that, but there were other people who benefited from it, and in some sense, maybe the town benefited economically. But I think that there just is not very much sensitivity, maybe because the board is at large and not geographically elected, which would have some other benefits in terms of governance in town. But there's got to be some balancing out of interests, and I think that ought to be part of the visioning process. And before my 30 seconds warning comes, I want to ask a totally different question. There was a story in the local about a plane flipping over at a private airstrip not far from me on Sound Avenue. Could you explain how there is a private airstrip on Sound Avenue? Does that just mean somebody has an open field and announces it's an airstrip, or someone decides they want to land a plane
Sir,
there?
you
Or
have
does
30
that-
seconds left.
Does that need some kind of licensing and authorization from the town? Thank you. At any rate, the EPCAL stuff, I think, will be
Hold
with
on.
us.
Mr. McAuliffe, I think our attorney can handle
Well,
that.
I mean, I could
He's
talk
got
to you
the-
privately, but I know that that airstrip was there when I was a child. It's been there since the 60s.
It's operational?
There's at least
It's-
three
it's a
that I
town-
know
it's,
of.
you know, the town, a particular family. I'll talk to you
Okay, all right.
briefly, just so I can go through a little history. But it does have various approvals from the town as well.
Okay.
Is that the brush runway?
No.
This is town.
No, it's
Oh,
opposite,
Talmadge, okay.
yeah.
And just wanted to answer to your point, Mr. McCullough, about EPCAL and a vision there. Certainly, EPCAL is one of our greatest assets in Riverhead. It's an amazing piece of property, and I feel that we should be very careful that we put something there that's really an economic generator and brings well-paying jobs to the people of Riverhead. So I'm in agreement on that we need to have a vision there.
Absolutely, that's what it was given to us for, and I totally agree with you, Catherine.
Well, we need to look at what we're bringing there, that it's bringing well-paying jobs, and that it helps us offset our taxes in Riverhead by bringing in revenue.
No, that was the intention of the Navy, so great, I'm glad you agree with us, and the whole town board on that. Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Steve Cool from Timber Park, Calverton.
How you doing?
I am well. How are you today?
Good?
Good to hear.
Good.
Hey, I came down today because I had some comments that I wanted to make regarding the drag strip events that were held at EPCAL. And it was interesting that the lady that spoke, just two people before me, had mentioned it. And I actually have to agree with her in some ways. The first two dates, I live, again, about 1.2, 1.3 miles from the western runway where the races were held. And you could hear something both days. And it wasn't like I have nothing else to do except sit on my porch and say, did I just hear something? I mean, there were race cars on the track. And we can hear Riverhead Wasteway that is 7.5 miles away from my house. So it makes sense that we would hear drag racing that's only 1.2, 1.3. Makes perfect sense. And we did hear it. Again, those first 2 weeks, the wind was more from the north and northwest. So I think it carried a lot of the sound, or at least subdued a lot of the sound. On the third race week, that would be the 11th and 12th, September 11th, September 12th. The wind was predominantly from the south and southwest, and I think the type of car that was raced had also changed. The noise was incredibly loud. If I was on the front porch trying to have a conversation with my wife, we were constantly interrupted by the sound of the announcer, screaming tires, and really loud engine noises. I spoke with this board once before about drag racing. When I was a kid, I loved it. I would go to funny car races and the fuel dragsters at Islip, and it was a wonderful experience. But you know what? I didn't live there. I bought a house in Timber Park long before drag racing showed up. You could hear a pin drop. It's a beautiful neighborhood. The whole area is. You can't hear a pin drop anymore, especially on a weekend. It's an outrageous interruption of quality of life. And I would appreciate it if this experiment ended this year. But again, that's just my opinion. I also think that we shouldn't be subject just to the way the wind blows. I mean, people in Chernobyl and people in 3 Mile Island had to worry about that. I don't want to worry about that from a drag race. So perhaps we can reconsider that. That same day, I did go over to the cemetery as well, because that's my big point. Again, both my parents are buried there. Both my wife's parents are buried there. And I thought, let me see how bad it is. And on that third week, I stopped people as they were leaving. I don't know how happy they were about that, but I stopped anyway. People are always kind. And I asked one woman, by the way, were you interrupted at all as you tried to visit the gravesite? And she said, well, I was interrupted a little bit. She said, but mostly I was disappointed. She said, I came here to quietly visit, and I couldn't. She said, the noise was very, very loud. And I said, yes, I know, I live here. I live right around the corner. And to that, she said, you live here? You have to listen to this every weekend? And I said, no, not every weekend, just the real loud ones. And she felt sorry for us. You know, she was very compassionate. So we had a nice conversation. Anyway, that's about it. I actually can agree. Oh, P.S. I want to thank Mr. Rothwell and Mrs. Kent for coming out to the neighborhood. You guys did come out after the worst of the races to see how we were doing in Timber Park. And I'm sure you probably got mixed reactions. But for the most part, I have a feeling you heard people say it was pretty noisy.
Sir, you have 30 seconds left.
Oh, good. That's all it'll take. I just want to say that I can almost agree with the people for Long Island needs a drag strip, because they think Long Island does need a drag strip. It just needs to be in New Jersey. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cool.
Anyone else?
That was good.
Yeah, that was very different. Yeah.
A very quick statement that on the issue of noise, I just wanted to tell you about an incident that I experienced with Councilman Dunleavy way back when I was on the board, and I think it was a Formula 3 track that was being proposed in was that Formula 3, Bob, do you remember?
Go-kart.
The go-kart, exactly.
Go-kart.
And they were very concerned about the noise, and it was proposed along Edwards Avenue. Councilman Dunleavy and I at the time went up to Massachusetts to the neighborhood where there was one existing. And I only bring it up because you mentioned which way the noise may travel based upon the wind. We went into the neighborhood and asked individuals in the community, under what circumstances do you hear the noise? I mean, do you hear it all the time? And they basically said, it's certainly when the wind is blowing in that direction or towards us. But the other thing that they didn't realize was when it's cloudy and there's a lot of humidity in the air, they hear it it's much more pronounced. So there are just other factors that come into play sometimes. And we didn't take the noise meter with us, if you will, because no one at the time knew how to use it to show us. But in any event, we did do some investigating, and that was just something that I thought I would throw out there as a point of interest, perhaps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are we good? All right. This concludes our meeting for today. Everyone, please be safe. Again, contact our office if you're looking for boosters for the vaccinations. We're taking a list, and as soon as they become available, we'll give you a call. And please be safe. And again, join us on Saturday for the festival. We're all looking forward to it. The weather looks like it's going to hold off. And this concludes our, it's Sunday.
Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Fair. Country
Sunday.
fair.
Country fair. This concludes our meeting. Can I have a first and a second to close this town board meeting, please?
Not fast enough, yes.
Not fast enough?
Second.
Okay, all opposed, all in favor, so move, and again, please be safe.
I wish the people that called me that said,